The day I found out my ex had married his dream woman, my hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. And I didn't cry. Not yet. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday. The sky was gray. My phone buzzed with a message I never expected to open. A wedding photo. I stared at the screen. There he was. My ex-husband. Smiling. Standing beside a woman in a white dress. His dream woman. They looked perfect. Too perfect. And that's when the real pain began. We had been divorced for only 6 months. After 10 years of marriage. 10 years ended with him saying, "I'm just not happy anymore." No fight. No warning. Now he was married again. 6 months. That alone should have crushed me. But it was her face that truly ended me. Because the moment I zoomed in, my chest tightened. I had seen her before. I just didn't know how yet. My name is Lena. I met Mark when I was 24. He wasn't flashy. But when he looked at you, he really listened. We got married young. We built everything from nothing. For many years, we were happy. Or I thought we were. The change came with silence. Mark started working late. Stopped asking how my day was. When I tried to talk, he always said, "I'm just tired." I believed him. Until one night, he sat across from me and said, "I think we should end this." Just like that. No other woman. So I thought. The divorce was clean. Quiet. Cold. I cried for months. He didn't. 6 months later, my best friend sent me the photo. "Lena, is that Mark?" I just kept staring at the woman beside him. She was beautiful. Calm eyes. Gentle smile. My chest hurt. Not because he moved on, but because he moved on too well. Then I noticed her face. It felt familiar. I zoomed again. And then it hit me. She looked exactly like the woman I once suspected. A woman from his workplace. A woman he once said was just a team member. Her name was Emily. 2 years before our divorce, Mark started a new job. He talked about Emily. "She's funny. She's good at her work. She reminds me of you." That last sentence should have scared me. One night, his phone rang late. He carried it to the balcony. I listened to his voice grow soft. I asked him the next day. He said, "Just work." I believed him. Again. Now that wedding photo screamed something else. My hands started to shake. I searched her name online. I saw photos of them together from 2 years ago. Not as a couple, but always close. The betrayal didn't scream. It whispered. I didn't confront anyone. I dug deeper. Old messages. Old emails. A pattern appeared. Business trips that overlapped. Sudden meetings that didn't exist. The timeline didn't lie. They didn't start after my divorce. They started inside my marriage. My chest burned with shock. All those nights I cried alone, he was already building another life. I didn't feel like a divorced woman. I felt like a woman who had been quietly replaced. A week later, I saw them in the grocery store. Laughter echoed. I turned my head. Mark and Emily. Holding hands. Smiling freely. He looked lighter than he ever did with me. When her eyes met mine, recognition flashed. Her smile faded for 1 second. That second told me everything. She knew who I was. She had always known. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a shared secret. I walked out, sat in my car, and finally I cried. Slow tears. Not for my marriage, but for the woman I used to be. The one who trusted too easily. That woman was gone. In her place, someone else was waking up. I didn't want screaming revenge. I wanted truth. I made a quiet promise. I will let their own story expose them. For 2 days, I barely slept. Every memory played differently. On the third night, I opened my old laptop. I searched for messages from his old friend, Daniel. Mark and Daniel had been best friends since childhood. Until 5 years ago, Daniel vanished. Mark said, he moved away. We lost touch. Something felt wrong. I found Daniel's last message to me. "If you ever need the truth, Lena, I'm here." I typed, "Hi Daniel. I think I finally need the truth." The reply came at 6:14 a.m. That means Mark finally showed his real face. My phone rang. Daniel's voice was older, rougher. I always hated how this day would come, he said. My heart pounded. Tell me. He spoke words that rewrote my past. Mark and Emily didn't start 2 years ago, Lena. They started 8 years ago. The room spun. 8 years. Almost our entire marriage. Daniel told me everything. 8 years ago, Emily was engaged. To Daniel, they were planning a future. Until one evening, Daniel came home early and found Mark's shoes at his door. Daniel didn't scream. He walked away, canceled the wedding, left the city. He didn't expose them. He didn't warn me. I asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" Daniel inhaled. Because Mark begged on his knees. He told me he'd end it, that you were innocent. So I walked away for you. Tears streamed down my face. Everyone had protected me by keeping me blind. Suddenly, everything made sense. The double life wasn't new. It was patient, and now it had replaced me. Lena, Daniel said softly, I have proof. A storage drive with personal recordings, conversations, confessions, promises, proof that covers nearly 10 years. For the first time since the divorce, power returned to my chest. That night I planned, not revenge fueled by rage, but truth guided by patience. I wanted them to face themselves. Emily wore white in public, but secrets cannot stay clean. Quiet lies always fall the loudest. I followed Emily online, liked one of her wedding photos, and waited. 2 hours later, a message request. From Emily. Hi Lena, can we talk? I typed, of course. Her words were careful. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't plan this. I replied with calm. I just want peace, Emily. That's all. That's what she wanted to hear. She opened up, not with truth, but with confidence. Over weeks, we spoke often. She painted her story. How she and Mark reconnected after my divorce. How love found its way. Every sentence ignored the years behind it. I listened quietly and saved every message. Lies grow when they feel safe. Daniel called. I finished sorting the files. They're worse. There are voice notes where they talk about you. They talked about waiting until you broke on your own. Tears fell without sound. But they didn't break me. They sharpened me. I could destroy them now. But revenge without meaning is noise. I wanted justice with echo. 1 month later, Emily posted a private invitation. Anniversary dinner, celebrating love with close friends. Mark had invited Daniel, not knowing he spoke to me. Daniel declined. That was my opening. An idea formed. One that would bring every lie into one room. The night before, Daniel sent a final message. Once this starts, you can't stop it. I replied, I'm not starting it. They already did. The dinner looked like a dream. Golden lights. Soft music. Emily posted clips. Mark beside her, smiling wide. But lies shine brightest before they fade. I wasn't there, but my eyes were. One guest was Rachel, a woman from Emily's past. Emily had walked away with all the money from their shared business. Rachel never forgot. Daniel had reached out. Did Emily ever talk to you about Mark? Rachel replied, all the time. At the dinner, Rachel stood up. She raised her glass. To Emily, the woman who always knows how to move forward, even when someone else's life is still behind her. A soft pause. Emily's smile tightened. Rachel continued, I hope this marriage is as honest as the last one you almost had. Silence touched the room. The first crack had formed. Later, Mark pulled Emily aside. A recorder in Rachel's bag caught it. Who was she talking about? Mark asked. Emily laughed thinly. Just old drama. Mark didn't push, but doubt had stepped inside him. The next morning, Emily texted me. Last night was strange. Some old memories surfaced. I replied, old memories always do, when we pretend they never existed. She called me. Her tone was light. Too light. How are you, Lena? Peaceful, I said. Silence. Then she asked, do you ever regret how things ended? I asked, do you? She said, I only regret pain. I replied, pain always has a memory hidden behind it. Her breath caught. She changed the subject. She was beginning to feel exposed. Daniel sent new recordings. Old messages. Whispered promises. One recording made my hands shake. Emily's voice. She'll never leave you. She's too loyal. Mark laughed softly. That's why I can wait. That wasn't love. That was strategy. Mark messaged me. Why are you talking to Emily? I replied. She talks to me. He wrote back. She's nervous. Please don't disturb her peace. I wrote. Peace built on lies is never quiet for long. He didn't respond. The storm had reached his door. Rachel contacted me. She said, when Emily left our business, she didn't just take money. She took identity. She changed her past. Her name. Her city. She was running from someone. I asked, who? Rachel whispered, Daniel. Emily betrayed everyone. Rachel, Daniel, Mark, and me. She always left someone behind. Mark thought he had won the prize. He was only the next chapter. Mark called Daniel after years of silence. What are you doing? Daniel replied softly, letting the past breathe. Mark's voice trembled. Did you talk to Lena? Yes. Did you show her anything? Not yet. Mark said, good. Let's keep it that way. Daniel replied, that's not my choice anymore. Mark hung up, shaking. Control had left his hands. I sent Emily a final message. Just remember, everything that begins in secret ends in light. She read it, didn't reply, but I knew it landed. Mark hadn't slept properly. Emily asked, are you sick? No, he said, his voice thin. That afternoon, his phone buzzed. An unknown number. A message. You should hear how real your truth sounds. An audio file. He pressed play. Static. Then Emily's young laugh. Mark's younger voice. She won't ever leave me. I've made sure of that. Emily replied, she's loyal, not strong. The recording continued. Once we secure everything, we'll walk away clean. Mark dropped the phone. For the first time, he did not recognize his own voice. He sat on the kitchen floor, hands shaking. That evening, Emily found him quiet. What's wrong? Nothing. But his eyes held fear. That night, Emily cleaned obsessively. Mark watched. She said, you've been staring. It's uncomfortable. He asked slowly, do you ever think about who we were before? Her hand slipped. A glass shattered. She laughed too quickly. What kind of question is that? He didn't answer. Both of them knew something had changed. Daniel sent me a newer recording. Mark's trembling voice. I can't stop it. Someone has the old recordings. Daniel's calm reply. I warned you. Truth waits. Mark whispered. What do you want? Daniel. Nothing. The truth wants you. Rachel posted. One old, grainy photo. Emily under her real name. Different hair. Different city. Caption. People don't change. They just change locations. The internet did the rest. Questions flooded. Emily's perfect image blurred. Mark confronted her. Who are you? Emily laughed it off. Social media drama. He didn't move. Why are there recordings of us talking about Lena? Her face strained. You listened to those? Mark's voice shook. You used me. She stared. Then her mask fell. We used each other. That sentence ended their innocence. Emily sat down. Daniel saw us years ago. That's why he vanished. Mark said, you told me he moved for work. I lied. And Lena? Emily hesitated. Whispered. She was never meant to stay forever. The air went cold. Mark understood then. The relief he felt during the divorce wasn't freedom. It was abandonment he didn't yet recognize. For the first time, Mark cried. Not for the marriage, but for himself. He had chosen to be the next victim. Sponsors questioned her. Friends grew distant. Emily was losing control. She texted me at 1:42 a.m. I think Mark knows. I replied. Truth doesn't knock. It just enters. Did you do this to me? No. I only stopped protecting your silence. 3 days later, Mark called. His voice empty. I heard my own lies. I didn't know how cruel I sounded. I said, I lived inside those lies for years. He whispered, I'm sorry. It was too late for forgiveness, but not for truth. Emily tried to clean up, deleted accounts, left town. But the internet has a long memory. Rachel shared more. Dates, names, patterns. Emily wasn't framed. She was simply seen. Their perfect life broke in front of everyone. I sent Mark a final message. You broke me once. Now the truth is breaking you. That doesn't make us equal, but it makes us clear. He replied, I deserved this. Watching everything fall, I felt still. No anger. Just quiet closure. I wanted to be free of what they built over me. Emily didn't sleep. By morning, she decided to run. Quietly. She packed one suitcase. Took only cash. No goodbye. She left Mark asleep. He found the house empty. A note. I need space from this noise. I'll reach out when it's quiet. No love. He sat down. He wasn't abandoned by accident. He was abandoned by pattern. Mark called me. I think she's gone. His voice sounded awake. I said, she leaves when the light turns on. That's what she does. He whispered, so what am I to her? I answered, you are the next chapter, not the ending. Mark drove to the coast, sat in his car for hours, listening to the recordings of his own betrayal. He had destroyed me quietly. Now silence was destroying him loudly. That evening, he recorded a video. No filters. No script. Tired. Honest. He posted it. He looked into the camera. I lied to the woman who trusted me. I cheated before I divorced. I pretended to be clean while I was already gone. I let someone believe in me while I used her loyalty. He swallowed. And now the woman I married has left me like I left my past. This is not justice. This is consequence. The internet stood still. People let his truth stay seen. Silence grew heavier than hate. Sponsors pulled away. Friends distanced. The performance ended. Emily saw the video in a hotel room. She slammed her phone. Her hands shook. For the first time, she wasn't shaping the narrative. She was inside it. She posted a cold, controlled message. Everyone makes mistakes. I chose love. And now I choose peace. She tried to float above the truth. But the truth had learned to reach up. Daniel released one last recording directly to her. A private message. You tried to erase me once. Truth doesn't stay erased. She listened. She understood. She had run out of distance. She sent me a shaking voice message. You ruined everything. I replied, no. I stopped standing between you and the mirror. Mark filed for separation. Simple paperwork. No loud drama. Their marriage didn't end in fire. It ended in silence. And silence was loud enough. We met once at a cafe. He couldn't meet my eyes at first. Then he said, I thought I was choosing myself when I left you. I was actually choosing the lie that protected my fear. I built my life on shortcuts. And now I have to start walking like a real man. I nodded. He left with no audience. Emily tried to rebuild online. New photos. New city. But people remember patterns. Her pattern was visible. She wasn't attacked. She was avoided. That hurt her more. Weeks passed. My peace no longer depended on anyone's behavior. It belonged to me. No waiting. No suspicion. Just quiet. Daniel visited before leaving the city. He smiled faintly. This story is finished for me now. It was never yours to carry alone, I replied. We hugged, stepping out of a shared shadow. Months later, Emily's last message, I lost everything. I replied, no, you finally stopped hiding it. She never wrote again. I once believed revenge meant breaking someone. Now I know revenge is no longer needing their fall to stand tall. Their life collapsed because it was built on secrets. Mine grew because I chose truth. I didn't celebrate. I simply lived. And that became the loudest victory. After everything, life slowed down. The noise that once ruled my heart was gone. Emily didn't disappear, but she no longer existed where she once felt powerful. Her name no longer opened doors. She moved again. Another restart. But this time, the past followed softly behind her. Not with attacks, just with memory. And memory weighs more than any punishment. Changing places is easy. Changing patterns is not. Mark didn't become a hero. Redemption arrives painfully. He lost respect. He lost friendships. But he gained awareness. He looked directly at what he had done. He began therapy for survival. He told his story without pretending to be the victim. Slowly, he became quieter, less defensive, less empty. Months later, he asked to meet for accountability. We sat in a place filled with ordinary people. He looked tired, but real. He said, "I wronged you in ways silence can't repair. I used your loyalty to protect my lies. I don't ask for forgiveness. I only wanted you to know I finally understand what I cost you." I listened. Then I said, "You didn't just take years from me. You taught me the price of ignoring my own worth. And for that, I won't hate you." That was the moment I knew I was free. I didn't rush into another relationship. I rebuilt slowly. Morning walks, new hobbies, honest friends. I learned to sit alone without feeling abandoned. I learned to trust my instincts again. Love should never require silence to survive. I asked myself, if I had known the truth years earlier, would I have stayed? The answer came quietly, no, and that truth healed. Daniel moved away in peace. He found work, built new friendships. A year later, he sent a photo, a quiet smile beside a woman who looked at him without secrets. His message, "Truth didn't break me after all." It saved him too. I heard about Emily only once more. A mutual friend said, "She doesn't speak much anymore. She keeps to herself." I didn't feel victory, only understanding. Some people don't fall loudly. They simply shrink inward. Revenge is waking up without anger. Revenge is no longer needing someone's regret to breathe easily. Revenge is living fully when someone expected you to stay broken. One night, I finally forgave myself for believing too long, for doubting my instincts. Forgiveness arrived in small breaths. Each breath felt lighter. Mark and Emily once believed they built their future on courage, but they built it on timing and secrecy. Life rearranges things built on hiding. Their love didn't fail because it was forbidden. It failed because it never learned to be honest. People ask, if you could go back, would you change anything? I always answer, no. Awareness, no matter how painful, leads somewhere real. Ignorance, no matter how peaceful, leads somewhere false. Betrayal doesn't destroy you. It reveals what was never safe. It doesn't end your story. It ends the chapter written without your consent. Mark once said, "I thought control meant safety." Now he knows. Control only hides fear. And love can't grow where fear decides. What they took, they never returned. What I gained, I never knew I had. Strength that didn't beg for approval. Peace that didn't depend on apologies. A voice that no longer went quiet for comfort. I wrote in my journal, I was not chosen in the end. And that's how I finally chose myself. Mark rebuilt slowly. Emily kept restarting. Daniel moved forward. And I grew beyond the story that once trapped me. Their lives carried the weight of what they had done. Mine carried the freedom of what I had faced. People don't betray you to hurt you. They betray you to serve themselves. But the truth always arrives when the reward is finally worth less than the lie. If you are listening and standing in silence, wondering if something feels wrong, trust that feeling. Silence is not peace when your heart is asking questions. And love should never need darkness to survive. This story didn't end with screams. It ended with something softer and stronger. Understanding. And understanding doesn't shout. It frees.